Hello everyone. Today I wanted to go over an updated ZF solo guide. This one's going to feature using a mount and then also pulling all of the Scarabs, 1 to 2 extra mobs, as well as obviously all the zombies and dead heroes. Usually grants you 35k. You get like an extra 5k from all the Scarabs is essentially what it comes down to. So anyway, without delay, I'm going to hop into this run. I'm going to let the intro bit of this just sort of play out because a lot of people were asking me how to get there on a mount. It's really not hard to get there on a mount, so you can kind of just run it. But I'll show you what I do when I go there on a mount. I have also done this all just literally without stopping, just running straight through everything to the end. There's not really a trick there other than obviously make sure you're jump strafing and facing the mobs. I went over this in the last video, but when you're looking at a mob and it hits you, it will not daze you. But if you're facing away and it hits you from behind, it can daze you. So um, yeah, just make sure every time you're running through a mob, hopefully you have your shield applied, because if it's a shielded attack, it will not hit and it will not daze. But yeah, just make sure you never get hit from behind. If you get hit from behind 1 or 2 times, it's usually fine, but just minimize it as much as possible. Go through here. The casters are totally fine because they can't daze you. Your health bar doesn't matter. You're really just trying to avoid getting dazed. Go around the right of these boxes. It bugs out their pathing slightly. It doesn't really matter with this run. See, I take one hit. I think it hit me from the front. It might have hit me from the back, and I just lucked out. Either way, always make sure you're facing the mobs. See, I'll do the same thing here. I jump and turn. These Shadow Hunters will only never hit you once, because they're going to shoot a bow at you afterwards. And then we're running straight into the pull. Now, I'm going to stop here and note one thing. For the Scarab pull, there is one pat that matters a lot, and it is this pat. There's two pats, but if you do it properly, you won't pull the second pat. The first pat here, though, there's 4 mobs it could be. It could be a Soul Eater, a Blood Drinker, a Witch Doctor, or a Shadow Hunter. If this mob is a Shadow Hunter, you cannot do the Scarab pull. You'll just wipe halfway through the pull when the Shadow Hunter hexes you. If it's a Witch Doctor, they will heal the dead heroes, and more likely than not, you're going to miss some dead heroes by the end of it because they flash heal. They have a flash heal ability as well as healing totem. They won't heal the zombies. They only heal the dead heroes as well as other mobs, other Witch Doctors, Blood Drinkers, whatever. But if this is a Blood Drinker or a Soul Eater, you're good to go. So Blood Drinker, Soul Eater, always pull Scarabs in my opinion. If it's a Witch Doctor, pull them if you know you're going to be safe. It's still more XP to get the Scarabs than the couple dead heroes you're going to miss. But if it's a Shadow Hunter, you cannot pull. So I note this one's a Blood Drinker. I always mark them so I understand where they are. And then I continue with the run. When it's a Blood Drinker or a Soul Eater, it's just awesome because it's just extra XP. You get 1 to 2 extra mob kills, which is great. Here, I didn't mention this in the last video. I only started recently doing this. Bind. There's a key binding for like interact on mouse over. You can find it in your options. I bind it to Alt mouse wheel up and Alt mouse wheel down, and while I'm running, I'm just spamming Alt mouse wheel up while hovering over all these graves to make sure I get them. See, I shield up, and then I'm going to fear this guy just to get him off me so I know I can get behind the pot without him punching me. And then I'm going to wait. I'm looking this way to see if I can get eyes on the second mob that's going to pat here. It's not the Shadow Hunter. I think in this run it ends up being a Soul Eater. I'm not sure, but if you look this way, depending on how fast you got here, you can usually catch the beginning of the pat. It looks like I don't, and I just kind of go with it. Here I'm popping a Swiftness pot. It's fine that this one Blood Drinker's on me. It's not the end of the world. Oh, I saw a Lava Totem. That's a Witch Doctor. But anyway, that was a Witch Doctor from earlier in the pull. It's not one of the pats. So, and that's all you care about, because you're going to reset all the aggro when you go to do the Scarab pull anyway. Now, I am flubbing this, but this is important. This is where the run really changes, because at this point, you're not going to pull this third set of graves down here. You're actually going to run, jump over this left side, and go run over to pull the Scarabs. So that's what I'm about to go do here. It doesn't matter if you let combat drop. I do it, but it doesn't matter. You can actually just jump over this wall right here to the left, and combat will drop anyway because it's too long of a path for them to get to you. And then you're going to run over here and come to pull Scarabs. Pulling Scarabs only adds like an extra minute, by the way, if that. It's actually really fast to pull Scarabs, so I highly recommend you do it as long as you can do it, because that mob's a Shadow Hunter, not a Shadow Hunter provided. You make this jump with your mount, you jump, press W, you'll make it over the wall. If you don't get all the Scarabs, it's not the end of the world. Just try to catch, what I always try to do is try to catch a Scarab over here, a Scarab over here, and then maybe 1 or 2 Scarabs with a Shadow Word Pain. So you see here, I Shadow Word Pain that one. It's a rank 1 Shadow Word Pain. I'm running. They run really slowly, and then you, like, just right here, I flub a click, but you see I'm just running, and then they're all behind me. They aggro each other. They'll leash each other. So as long as you get a couple, usually chain reactions get to most of them. Here, I'm going to fear this guy, just so I know he doesn't bother me, and then you're going to go through and click all the 3 sets of graves.
Get closer. I cannot loot that right now. That ability isn't ready yet. I'm out of range.
Now here, you got to be somewhat of a gamer, because you need to make all these jumps pretty fast. Now, this jump, supposedly it's difficult for like female dwarfs to make this jump. So if you're a female dwarf or a male dwarf or something, you might need to try and run around as fast as you can. If this doesn't work for you, you can jump. Let me see if I can get a better angle. Let me go back a little bit. You see this brazier right here? You can instead get them bunched up in the corner, jump over the brazier, with your shield up, Psychic Scream to try and not instantly die or get dazed, and then run over to the other brazier over here and then jump up that side onto the wall. It is significantly harder. However, if you're able to consistently make this jump into the corner like I am, where you go up, 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 and then you jump into this corner, it's way easier. Next, if you make this jump in this corner, make sure you jump over this edge at an angle. The reason you do that is that when you do this, the mobs will think that they can get to you for some reason, and they will start moving again, which resets the Scarab leash timer. Which the Scarab leash timer, if they're out of combat for like a minute or even like 45 seconds, 30 seconds, they run back. I don't know why. It's much shorter. So you need to try to constantly make sure the Scarabs are running at you. So I jump over the side. Because I went straight from the third pull, I don't need to pull these guys in the front. They're already aggroed onto me. I jump over the side again, and I don't pull the boss. Now, something to note with pulling the boss. The boss gets you an extra grave. However, on this run, I don't know what my second pat is. You can see here, this is I think that's a Soul Eater. So it's totally fine. However, I didn't know this was a Soul Eater at the time, and I did not mark him. Because I didn't mark him, I am not going to pull the boss because it minimizes the chances that this guy will get pulled. Because depending on where he's in his pat, he might be all the way back there. If he is in there, maybe this guy misses him. Sometimes it doesn't leash him. I just went with the pull anyway. Normally, always try to figure out what this second pat is before you start the pull. If it's also a Shadow Hunter, you need to make sure you either wait on the pull slightly, like 45 seconds until he pats all the way back around the corner so you won't pull him. Or if it's obviously a Soul Eater or another Blood Drinker or a Witch Doctor, totally fine to pull him. If it's a Soul Eater or Blood Drinker, always pull him. But I didn't know what this was. I wanted to continue with the run because I was trying to go fast. So I didn't aggro boss because the boss and the little skellies will aggro pull these mobs down here. The pat mobs. There's 3 aggro tables here. It's the zombies, the dead heroes, and then the everything else basically. So zombies and dead heroes won't pull the regular mobs, but the regular mobs can pull each other, and the boss is included in that. So the boss could pull like Blood Drinkers and Soul Eaters. See, I missed the guy, right? It's totally fine. I didn't know I didn't know if I leash him. He doesn't get leashed. It sometimes leashes him, sometimes doesn't. It might still leash him. We'll find out. It looks like it doesn't for now, so it looks like I'm all good. Aggro these guys, and then start the jumps. Now, I'm going to go over something. I'll do a couple more jumps here, and then I'm going to tell you a bit of technology that someone in the comments figured out, and it works every time for some reason. If you notice, every time I jump over here, they're actually padding into the gap here, right? Now, for the longest time, for years, I thought this was just random. I thought it was just pure random chance if they padded towards you. What is actually happening is if you are in midair, so like, let me stop it right here. And you press a strafe key, so A or D for me, could be Q or E for you, could be whatever you have on your strafe keys, another movement key, the mobs will recalculate their pathing thinking you changed your direction even though you are in midair. So if you are jumping and you press D or A or whatever your strafe key is, even though it will not impact your actual movement, it will recalculate the mob's pathing. So every time I'm doing a jump here, I am pressing my strafe key, one of them, as soon as I'm over the gap. Because then they will think I am down on the ground and they will start running towards me. And then when they run back, and it ends up causing, they run like this weird triangle that gets them really, really, really grouped up. So I'll let this play out a bit. Every time I'm doing this jump, I'm pressing a strafe key in midair. And I'm going to keep doing this, and then you're going to see, look how stacked that is. It's insane. So every time you jump a gap, I recommend you press that button. And now I have the Scarabs. The Scarabs will cast like this weird like poison thing on you. It's a disease. It just lowers your int a little bit. It's really, like, you can just ignore it. It's totally fine. Again, I'm going to jump, press a movement key in midair. The benefit of also pressing a movement key, even when you're not trying to stack them up, generally speaking, it causes them all to immediately recalculate. So you won't get that weird thing where, like, half the pack recalculates immediately and the other half recalculates, like, a second later. It all happens, like, instantaneously. So they're all still in the same line spread out that they were previously. I'll do this a couple more times, and then I'm going to show you where I'm standing as well. So you'll notice I've settled into going to the exact same spot and just jumping and hitting a Holy Nova every single time to keep it consistent. So I'll stop it here. You see this little, like, dot right here? Right past this, like, this line right here. If you are past this line on the midway point between this line and this dot, you're going to hit them even if they're rounding the corner over here. And you're also going to be able to hit them when they're at least in front of you, if not directly left. Like, you see where this, like, this dark spot is on the ground? Generally speaking, if they're halfway through that dark spot, all the way to rounding the corner or coming at you, if you jump and hit your Holy Nova, you will hit them. So what I'm doing, I always come in right between these two, maybe on the dot, maybe a little bit to the left, and I'll move forward a bit just to try to get more of the guys over here. I wait for them to kind of get where they're, like, mostly in front of me, and then I hit a Holy Nova. I jump, I hit a second Holy Nova, and then I run down. You can always get 2 Holy Novas, as long as they're decently stacked. You can always get 2 Holy Novas off. If they're really unstacked, you can only ever get 1 off. But if you're jumping, pressing your strafe key in midair every time, they're going to get really stacked every single time. I mean, look at this. Every time. And then you're going to jump, hit it twice. You can even go for 3 if they're really, really stacked. You're going to take a couple hits to the face. But if you strafe jump while facing them, they won't daze you, and it's totally fine to get hit. You can get hit like 15 times and not die, as long as you don't get hit in the back. Even if you get dazed there. I've gotten dazed there and still lived. It's not the end of the world. There, I just hit a regular inner fire Nova, and then I continue the run. Another thing to note, this is a total, like, just luxury thing, but if you want to finish this run faster, just buy a shit ton of mana pots. You get like 8 gold a run or so, vendoring everything, plus all the raw drops and everything. So I've literally just been dumping all my gold into consumes, so I just buy swiftness pots and mana pots with all the gold I get from the farm. Your mileage may vary, maybe you want to be a little bit slower and whatever, but yeah. So here I am, continuing the farm. There's another thing I do, I don't know if this is recommended, but whenever they're getting kind of like close to death, like the Scarabs are getting close to dying here, I usually like don't go to my normal kill spot, and I just wedge myself up against like the edge of the wall and try to hit them in an area I can still loot them. Like, so for instance, I'm going to come over here and do it. Like right about here. Okay, at this one I just do a regular pull. I'm like, screw the loot. Like, I don't want to kill myself here. Like there it gets pretty close, right? Jump, hit the strafe key midair, they recalculate. Jump, hit the strafe key midair, they all recalculate. You see the Scarabs are even running down to me because they thought I was down on the ground for a second. Then jump. You see, I wanted to like get these Scarabs here when I kill them, so I'm jumping like on this edge over here, just try and get them. This is, if you're not consistent with it, just don't even bother. I didn't have enough mana for a normal one, so I just did 2 rank 1s. Pop a mana pot, continue with the pull. And yeah, from this point on, basically all the Scarabs are about to die, and it's just wash, rinse, repeat the normal way. So I'm going to skip forward a bit. You see I still have a couple Scarabs up. They're all going to die now. And now back to the standard pull. They're all down to half. Nothing changed. The pull is basically just as fast. You add on maybe 45 seconds getting the Scarabs. But yeah, like an extra 5k XP, so it's very much worth it. And then here, jump, jump, and you all know the drill now. The exact same thing for 12 minutes straight. Jump across, hit strafe key, jump across, hit strafe key, and then get back to the position. Get right in between these two dots, right this little dark spot in this line. Wait for them to be mostly in front of you, jump, and then go. You're going to do this until they die. So I'm going to skip forward a bit. You see I like marked the blood drinker. He has a little bit more health, kind of different speed. But I'm just trying to keep track of them. Also, they heal when they hit you. So, you know, if you mess up and they hit you in the face, they can heal themselves. Skipping forward a bit, because I don't want to show you guys the kill phase I already showed you in the last video. Just constantly using inner fire and mana pots to keep my mana up so I can keep killing these guys faster. And then kill. Let me just show you guys the kill phase. We're getting pretty close. Or the actual, like, you know, death phase, I guess you'd say. And I'm going to show you again the spot that I like to like greed to make sure I can always loot them. I like wedge myself right up against this wall here, jump, and some of them like recalculate their pathing and like run at you when that happens. I got hit by a leech ability from the blood drinker, so I used my inner fire to cast a max rank Shadow Word Pain on him. It's actually not max rank. I haven't trained my abilities since like 44. I've just been living at Tanaris, so there's probably a better rank of like all my spells. Yep, and then jump, hit it. Again, these are all lootable spots. That's why I do that, and then I will continue going. Yeah, and you guys get the idea. I'll show you the last little bit of it, just because sometimes I greed, pop a mana pot, and I just kill them over here because it's so close. Be careful you don't kill yourself doing it. I killed myself one time because I just jumped too early and I didn't have enough mana to finish them all off. Yeah, and so that's the run. You're going to see here 13:34 to finish the actual kill phase. And then I think it's like 14:20 by the time I get out of here. For those of you who don't know, anything under 15 minutes is lockout time. It's because the lockout doesn't start until after you leave, so even though you get 5 an hour, when you're in one, you haven't actually started the reset timer for the one you're in. So if you're going for more than 5 runs, it's actually 4 an hour. So you're looking for sub 15 minutes to hit lockout. And then I'll show you real quick. You can see down here in the bottom, 132k XP per hour, and it was 32. The issue is with the Scarabs, because I'm like level 49, 50 or whatever it is right now. The mobs all give significantly less XP than when I was at 44, but you can still get up to that like 32k XP type area. 32, even 35, depending on how many zombies you get and everything like that. And that is, yeah, so that's how you do the pull with Scarabs, Graveyard, and do it in lockout time period. It takes like a minute or two to run back, and it takes about literally 2 minutes to run back on foot. It takes like a minute 30 to run back if you're a Wisp. But yeah, so this ends up being basically roughly a 15, 16-minute run. You get about 4 of these done an hour. You're looking at 120k XP per hour at least, maybe 124 or so. You can actually get, I've seen 35k at 49, depending on how many mobs you get and how many Scarabs you get and everything. So, yep, that's the run. Just make sure if you're doing this that you make sure you are only pulling Scarabs if that mob is not a Shadow Hunter. If it's a Witch Doctor, it's going to be difficult. I would recommend not doing it unless you're used to the pull. All right, that's it. Appreciate you guys.